Let's call the meeting to order at 4:31. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, roll call. Chair Trumper,
Here.
Vice Chair Benson,
Here.
Commissioner Tehima hasn't arrived yet, Commissioner Beecher,
Here.
Commissioner Petka is absent, Commissioner Kent.
Here.
We have a quorum with 4.
Item 4, communications. Is there a report from city staff?
I do not have a lengthy report. I would just like to acknowledge that I did send the publication, the notice of your December 28th holiday meeting to the city manager's office. And I will be posting a special meeting notice for this particular event.
Thank you. Our council liaison is not present. Commissioner Beecher, would you like to report on the McCune Foundation? I've sort of been doing it, but you could do it this time if you want to.
Well, a heads up would have been appreciated.
I'm happy to do it.
So I'm happy in future meetings, but like, let me know a day before.
Sure. At the McCune, we had a McCune Foundation board meeting earlier in November. And we talked a little bit about grants and their function as the body that can fundraise for the McCune, and agreed to kind of hold off and be guided in that by the work plan that we're going to talk about a little later this evening. We talked about the sort of co-planning the traditional McCune December open house. We'll get more on that this evening under item 7C. That's planned for the 28th, Sunday the 28th. I think those were the main topics. Yeah. Item 4D, report from the chair. That is me. I want to give a thanks to Commissioner Petka for his years of volunteering and service on the commission. He has announced that he's going to resign from the commission effective the end of December, end of the year. But he was unable to attend this meeting. But just for the record, I want to record our thanks and gratitude for all that he's done for the McCune collection. He's done a lot to catalog materials that are in the collection, especially sort of ephemera and objects.
The binding tools.
The binding tools, yeah, and the embossing tools, and also kind of held down the fort to make sure that the McCune is accessible for Tuesday open hours. So big thanks to Commissioner Petka. Also, I want to announce that the set of books that we sent off to Karen Zukor Art Restoration for some preservation work are returned. They are back on the shelf in the McCune room. So that was successfully accomplished. That is the end of my report. Any other announcements or words from other commissioners? Commissioner Petka has been giving website reports, and he passed one on to me that I can give at our next meeting, simply updating additional materials that have been uploaded, photographs that have been digitized and uploaded to the website. So I can provide that list at the next meeting. And Commissioner Beecher, do you have a report on the volunteer program?
No changes at the moment, though we're always entertaining anybody who would like to volunteer.
Excellent. Also, if I could back up to my report, I have a question, actually. If there are any updates, perhaps, on recruitment for the McCune Commission? We have one opening now, and we'll have two with the resignation of Commissioner Petka.
I know the city clerk is continuing to hold recruitments. I'm not certain about the McCune in particular, but as vacancies become available, she is noticing those and holding interviews with the council members.
I would encourage us, all commissioners, to talk up the opportunity among friends and acquaintances who have an interest in the work that we do on the commission, and kind of invite them personally to apply. Inviting people personally is a great way to get to gain more interest and get a response from people. So, just an idea. Item 5, community forum.
Through the chair, currently have a 2-minute timer located on the top left corner of our screens for any members of the public who would like to sign up to speak during the community forum. As of now, we currently do not have any members of the public signed up for the item on this agenda. In the meantime, feel free to carry on with the agenda, and at the conclusion of that timer, if anybody signs up, I'll be sure to let you know.
Thank you. Commissioner Tehima has arrived. We had a quorum, but welcome, Commissioner Tehima. Moving on to item 6, consent calendar, approval of agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting? I move to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank
I'll
you.
second it.
It's been moved by Chair Trumper and seconded by Vice Chair Benson to approve the agenda for the December 1, 2025 McCune Collection Commission meeting. Roll call. Chair Trumper,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson,
Aye.
Commissioner Tehima,
Aye.
Commissioner Beecher,
Aye.
Commissioner Kent.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Now, on to the minutes from our last meeting of October 6th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes, or any? Never mind. Just, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion, comments?
Roll call. Prior to roll call, has been moved by Vice Chair Benson, seconded by Commissioner Beecher to approve the minutes of the October 6, 2025 regular meeting. Roll call. Chair Trumper,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson,
Aye.
Commissioner Tehima, Commissioner Beecher,
Aye.
Commissioner Kent.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7, recurring business. 7A, acquisition of items donated to the collection. At our last meeting, we voted to recommend that the art book, the Book of Qualms by local artist Diana Krevsky, be accepted into the McCune collection. And we've been asked to make that official so that the city council can give its final approval by adopting a resolution, which is contained in our meeting packet for tonight. Do we need to read that? Is that the, no? So if you have all had a chance to review the resolution, it just formalizes what we all agreed to last time. Any questions or concerns or comments before we take this up?
Yeah, it's the first time it's, that I can recollect since the commission started, that we were tasked with looking at a resolution that followed up a motion we had already carried. So apparently, the city council would be at a lack for anything to respond to without having a resolution. They couldn't respond to our motion, apparently, or?
It was opined that the commission needed a resolution to present to the city council. So this is the process that's now being done. So yes, whenever there's a resolution of accepting an article or something that needs to be accepted by the city council, it has to be done by resolution.
Yeah, I guess it's a vehicle as opposed to something that was on another body's agenda. Okay. And it'd be interesting if this is a going forward process with future things?
Yes, that's my understanding. That's, could be.
So we
because-
don't need like a retrospective, all-encompassing resolution, because we've accepted many things. As a commission, we've motioned on many things and never had this additional step.
You know, I know I did share that with the attorney, but going forward, this is the process.
Okay.
Because what occurred was I sent when I do my update to the city manager of what the commissions have done, this was there, and the city attorney said that a resolution was needed.
For clarification, does that make this a two-step process? So that first, we always need to do it this way, so that first in one meeting we would vote and then we would have to approve a resolution next? Or can we come prepared at the meeting where we're going to consider an item that we have the resolution already prepared prior to discussion?
I would say it's the latter, that if in fact we know something's going to be donated and it's going to be on the agenda, then it would be beneficial to have a resolution draft. Even if it doesn't go forward, at least there is a draft of the resolution. You can always not move the resolution. That way it wouldn't become a two-step process.
One point we as a commission will need to take up then, since this is a new process, that we'll need to take up with Attorney Zagaroli is whether we have official criteria for accepting work into the McCune. So because this is a new process, the history is that there is a set of criteria that exists, that pre-exists even the McCune Commission, because prior to it being a commission, it was an advisory board for the library. It had a few lives before it became an official city commission. So there has been a set of criteria in place that were used as a guideline. And so I think one of the next steps in order to follow this new procedure of creating a formal resolution is to make sure that those criteria become the current official criteria. So we should add that to a future agenda, please, if we may.
It's in the draft policy book.
It's in the draft policy book, which I had this exchange with Attorney Zagaroli as well in preparing this resolution. And because that policy book is still in draft form, those are non-binding policies, even though they are what have been in place for decades. And so we just need to sort of circle back and make that all official.
Yeah, we could do it piecemeal, just take that chapter out and start with one chapter.
We could. So I will try to follow up with Attorney Zagaroli before our next meeting, which is until February, so we have oodles of time.
Yeah, correct.
And make sure we have a clear process of how to get this done.
Right, just for the commission's information, the Attorney Zagarelli did ask what was the criteria that was being used, so I pointed her to the draft policy, and so Commissioner Chair Trumper and I had a conversation, and it will be added to a futures agenda for the commission to go over the draft and then use that going forward, since it appears that you may be accepting items in the future, and at least that way you have a path forward. So I'll add it to the futures list.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussion on the resolution that is in our packet? Did we already have the motion? Okay. Do we have a motion to accept this resolution?
I'll motion to accept the resolution.
Second?
I'll second it.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kent and seconded by Vice Chair Benson to accept the resolution in the packet to adopt the resolution recommending the City Council accept the art book published and inscribed by Diana Grinsky in honor of Julia Stratton in the McCune collection. Roll call. Chair Trumper,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benson,
Aye.
Commissioner Tehima,
Aye.
Commissioner Beecher,
Aye.
Commissioner Kent.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you. Madam Chair, if you would like, we do have our council member in the audience. Do you want to go back to see if he has a report?
Pardon?
Would you like to go back to see if he has a report?
Sure. We have been moving swiftly through the agenda, but to back up to item 4B, report from council liaison. Do you have anything you'd like to report?
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Palmares, before you go back to your seat, the question was asked about recruiting. Has Don been in contact with you for recruiting for our vacancies at this position?
I am not sure this time, but I'll follow up.
That would be wonderful. We have one current opening, and we'll have a second at the beginning of 2026. So we're recruiting for 2 commissioners at this.
Okay. I do remember that she's aware of it, but I don't know what the strategies are for recruitment, but I'll follow up.
Thank you. Are you
you.
also on the Arts and Culture?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Item 7B, submission of monthly receipts for reimbursement. This is simply a reminder to commissioners to submit your receipts in a timely manner, i.e. within the month that the expense takes place, within 30 days, to the McCune Foundation. Receipts for expenses we personally incur as commissioners go to the McCune Foundation for reimbursement for costs that are authorized in our budget. And then the foundation is reimbursed by the city. Item 7C, docent participation. Commissioner Beecher.
So on Art Walk, which I usually at this point in the agenda, December's Art Walk coming up Friday of next week. is a continuation of Gilbert Johnson's posters and studio studies exhibit that's up there, that's in place now. January, there's actually the city, the steering committee for Art Walk doesn't officially hold Art Walk in January. That's been since the whole event resumed after the pandemic shutdown. They do February through December, so we're not going to try to carry the event alone, so the room will not be open, the collection will not be open in January for Art Walk. But February we'll have, which should be interesting, a textile and weaving exhibit by Amanda Farrell, and this will be, we've never had that type of exhibit before. So this is, artistic type of weaving and textiles, so looking forward to that. And then I should also use this point to mention that in regards to Saturdays, we'll be seeing a change in coverage. Several months back, I think most of us would have been aware that Commissioner Tehima was at a point to go from pretty much every Saturday, showing up on Saturdays, to 2 times a month. And starting in January, I'm pretty much at that point as well. I've been doing every Saturday, really since before the pandemic even. So it's time, I need to reprioritize my own time. We're fortunate in that Commissioner Kent is showing up many Saturdays. So to that extent, what I'll do is intentionally coordinate with Vince to be the 2 Saturdays where he's not, so we complement each other that way. And then Zachary will probably be there a lot of the time as well. But really, just another little reminder that if all commissioners put even 1 Saturday a month, we wouldn't have to worry about whether Commissioner Kent was there to be a second or not. We'd have 2 easily every Saturday. And even with Art Walk, just all of us trying to do 4 or 5 a year, not 4 or 5 Art Walks a year, we'd have 3 every Art Walk night. So it does make a difference, even if we're not at a full 7. And with that, I think we want to go on the, okay. The commission hasn't really had an opportunity to respond to, in this context of a meeting, preparations and plans regarding what has always in the past been a true collaboration between the foundation and the commission. If anything, really, the commission in the past spearheaded a bit more than the foundation. The foundation kind of just fell in step to support with hospitality and, additional manpower and additional publicity, that kind of thing. But the publicity piece is out. I don't know how people feel. I thought there was kind of, instead of stop the presses, to start the presses. I don't know, pat my own back, but maybe I'm really thinking that this should, I've already gotten it into the city's e-newsletter. At least they said they would put it in there. And I usually try to get it on the Vallejo Sun has the entertainment section, which is pretty widely looked at. So it'll be going in there. Plus our usual, it's a little bit early yet, or not too much, another few days for email blasts and social media. We'll do 2 rounds of social media, that kind of thing. So, but even word of mouth or making more copies and distributing them yourselves makes a difference. And, this is an opportunity for others to weigh in, but it occurs to me with the concern with trying to attract more potential applicants for the commission. If we have a good turnout and they see the press in operation and it gets them fired up, that could be a good time to plant some, if you're that interested in helping with the collection, we have a vacancy. So I'll give others a chance now.
Is this flyer available as a PDF?
Yes, absolutely. Do you want, I can send it to you.
Would you please?
Yeah,
Yeah.
PDF, yeah.
For how Annette can send. Mine's usually on. Perhaps Annette can send the PDF to all commissioners so that we all have the PDF and can distribute it.
I did send it. It was sent recently.
As a standalone PDF?
Yes.
Perfect. Just today, right?
No, that was sent, was it today or it was?
Last
I
week.
think it was last week. And I think it was Tuesday.
Okay.
I think it was Tuesday.
If
last
anyone
week.
has trouble accessing
Yeah,
it.
just let me know, but I can resend it, but I did send it because it wasn't in the packet, so I sent it intentionally separately so that you could have the PDF.
Wonderful. Councilmember Palmieri's, it would be lovely to see you and any of your fellow council members at the event as well. It's a great opportunity to engage with the material that's in there, and it's the first time we're going to be using that historic Albion Press. Is that what it's called? I always say the wrong name of the press. I always say Aryan Press. Albion Press. So we'll have that in action for the first time in a long time, which we're all really excited about. And it's a great opportunity to kind of meet the public and the folks who support having a collection like this in the city. So I, as chair, plan to send the invitation kind of personally to city staff members and council members as well, and as well as some folks I've talked with, and I'm trying to spread the word about ways that people can volunteer, either as commissioners or as docents, or to get involved with printing demonstrations, et cetera, at the commission. So, like Commissioner Beecher said, to spread the invitation widely with an invitation to get even more involved, I think is a really great opportunity for this event. Any other comments on the holiday? Oh, also, so it's a pretty simple affair. Commissioner Kent is heading up the printing demonstration. The two authorized people who are permitted by the city to operate the press are Commissioner Benson and Commissioner Kent. So if you two would like to work together on doing printing demonstrations, that would be lovely. Mark your calendars for that Sunday, the 28th. We have had, there's an organ in the room, and if we can recruit someone to play a little music for the event, might be lovely if possible. The foundation board members are helping to coordinate refreshments. So I guess I would say if any of the commissioners or the wide variety of community members who are participating in the meeting this evening would like to help with preparations for the event, can they be in touch with me just individually to say, I'll bring this, I'll bring that? Or does that need to go through city staff?
As long as they have your email, as you know, we can't share your email with the public, but if you...
Yeah, I'm talking more about the commissioners.
But if you choose to do so, I mean, or if you're just talking about the commissioners, or you're talking about the public,
The commissioners.
I can send out a email asking, as long as they respond, let me think about this, because, let me think about it, because I'm not certain if they can respond directly to you. Seems like they should be able to. It would seem like here someone can say, oh, yes, I may be bringing something, more details later. Maybe you can do it that way.
Okay. The other part of the planning that we've talked about is to display parts of the collection that are usually shelved or in the vault, and use the display cases that we have in order to make some works more accessible to the guests at the open house. on the 28th. And so in the Saturdays leading up to the event, during docenting hours, the commissioners who are overseeing the open hours will be working on setting those things up. Commissioner Tima.
At the last art walk where Gilbert's work was displayed, he had a friend that came in to the art walk during that evening. His name is Daniel, and he was playing the organ. He was playing it real nice, and he said he's a friend of Gilbert, so maybe next week when Gilbert is here, maybe we can ask Gilbert if he can get in touch with his friend Daniel. They are friends from another restaurant or some kind of place here in downtown Vallejo. So maybe I'll try and be at the art walk next Friday and ask Gilbert if he can contact Daniel. So yeah, we haven't had anybody playing the organ since Wayne Goodman, left the commission a couple years ago.
Thank you.
Sure.
Great. Okay. If there aren't any other comments about the holiday open house and getting ready for that, we'll move on to item 8, new business, unfinished business. So first up is just beginning to think about the budget process for July 1, 2026 through June 30, 2027, because we'll need to have that finalized at the beginning of March, I believe. So we have one meeting, February 1st, and then April, we'll be able to do final approval in April. So if we think the budget is going to remain pretty much the same as in the last several years and this past year, there is probably not a need for an ad hoc committee to dig into it, to have something to present at the February meeting. But if any of the commissioners feel that they would like to propose something different for the budget, then this would be the window before our February meeting to do so. Any discussion on that front?
It would seem to me probably not this time round, maybe looking forward to the next one, so this time next year, because at that point presumably we'll be into an adopted work plan, and then we may really want to see what we want to do with the budget. But at this point, I don't see anything that's compelling to.
Any other points of view? So no ad hoc committee needed at this time, but we do need Commissioner Beecher.
Well, if we're going to someone to change the dates on the existing one.
Yes.
But this would also be a good time to remind Annette, in the past January, usually in for the February meeting, the Finance Department is able to provide the fund analysis. We'd really want the fund analysis for 2025, which the early part of 2026 is usually.
Is that a fiscal year end or a calendar year end?
We've always gotten it between January and February of a given year. That's when we've always.
Yeah, I think that's when you request it, so you want to request the
fund analysis. Because even if we're looking at essentially the same budget structure carried into a new year, it'd be nice to know where we stand with the interest on the fund. So that would be for February.
Okay. So Annette, does that cover making the request?
Yes, and
Okay.
so what I have for
Thank you.
this item is that you're not considering forming an ad hoc subcommittee for 26, 27, and on the futures list, add the fund analysis for the February meeting.
Right, so in February, we will want to look at both the fund analysis and also a draft proposed budget, which I assume is the role of the Treasurer Tehima, to prepare the draft proposed budget for us just to look at initially, have discussion over, especially in light of the fund analysis that we'll get, and then we can make any changes and finalize in April. Okay. Where are we? Item 8C. No, 8B, commission work plan. So you all received a copy of the draft McCune Commission work plan dated November 14th for review and discussion tonight. Would it be helpful to, first of all, Annette, do we have a hard stop tonight?
6:30?
6:30, okay, plenty of time. Would it be helpful to take like 10 minutes right now for everyone to review this? Do you all need some more time with it?
I wanted to commend our chair on a very comprehensive draft, a lot of detail. This is the first time in my recollection we've ever had this type of, I don't want to call it an instrument, document, to be working with and all, but 8 pages, even in 10 minutes, it just doesn't seem to do it justice. I would have to read this through, and I mean, I was walking out the door and an email popped up from Annette, and I was like, oh, by the way, here's, and I started looking, I said, we can't possibly digest this before the meeting. I mean,
So we could take some time now and have some discussion. So take some time to digest it and have some discussion, and then hopefully be ready. I mean, either schedule another meeting in the interim, since our next meeting isn't until February.
is that,
So, like, that's that's 3 months
is
from
February a
now.
problem? I mean, is the city
Well-
that, I would think, I'd be surprised they do too much with it between now and February, even if.
It's a guide for the commission to guide our priorities and how we spend our time as a commission. And so the longer we wait, the more we're not, in my eyes, not proactively moving forward, but just sort of treading water. And so we have a need to understand what all is in the collection and make sure it's cataloged and that we're sharing that catalog. We've been talking about this for over a year. We have talked about in the last at least 3 meetings how we need a plan for preservation and make sure we have a list of work that needs to be done so that we can even just spend down the small funds that we have. And in terms of public engagement and programming, that's what's going to drive, that's our main call to action. And in terms of needing more volunteers, the more we can be clear to volunteers about what kind of assistance the collection and the activities of the commission, what our needs are, the more actively and proactively we can recruit volunteers to fill the needs, which we were just talking about, that we don't have enough volunteers and our commissioners are getting burned out holding the Saturdays. So I do feel like, since this has already gone on over a year of trying to do the work plan, that there is some urgency to this, and
I would just point out that, I appreciate everything you've said, but in terms of, how would I want to put this, like practical logistics, most of the focus between now and December 28th is the holiday chair. I don't know, there's too much energies going in a lot of other directions between now and the end of December. And then we're literally 1 month. I mean, it's the first Monday of February. we're just the month of January before the next meeting.
So, I'm sorry,
And-
but
And you
Commissioner
could,
Beecher, the question on the table was whether people would like to take, say, 10 minutes now to review the document, and so you said you would like more time than that. Are there any other perspectives on that question?
I mean, I've been skimming over it, and I feel like I have enough to have a discussion about it. That's my personal feeling.
Okay. And in no way are we trying to rush this through. It was a technical error that this wasn't distributed with the rest of the packet. So it was not, I'm not in any way trying to like push this without proper review. I also don't want to hold it up more than we've already kind of been holding it up. The schedule that this outlines calls for kind of hitting the ground running with cataloging in the new year. And if we don't have this in place, then we don't have the mandate to do that as a commission, to put our focus there. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I am inclined to think we should take a little bit more time to just review this. So how about if we pause until 5:23, and then circle back and have some discussion about this draft, and to guide the way to see what kind of revisions we might want to make, or what steps we want to take next as a commission with this document, and to see what kind of progress we can make today.
Yes, through the chair, what was done with the Culture and Arts Commission? They presented their draft at their November meeting.
At their what meeting?
At their November meeting. They're not having a meeting in December, but what they're doing is asking the commissioners to review the document, and if there are any edits that they may like to see included, they will send them to me, and then I will send them, well, you don't have an ad hoc committee, but then I would send those comments to you. That way, if you, they gave a deadline of 2 weeks of reviewing their draft document. And so if you would like to discuss this evening, and then have the commissioners, if they may have more, if they want more time, perhaps give them 2 weeks to review, send comments to me, then I will forward to you. That could be in the February packet, ready to go, as a example of what the other commission was doing.
Thank you, that's helpful. All right, so let's have like 9 more minutes of silence while people
Oh, no, go
read
on,
this.
because you're until 6:30, and so why don't you take 15 minutes to read it if you have the time, and then, because you only have one other item that you would like to discuss, and that may go quickly, I'm not certain how long that would take. But I did push it, I gave you an extra half an hour this evening.
Okay, excellent. So we'll pause until 5:30 to review the document, and then pick up conversation from there. Thank you. is 5:30. Are we ready to reconvene? I'm sure we'd all like a little more time with it. But I think the idea is to give the commissioners a chance to give some initial feedback on the direction that the document is taking. I'd like to provide a little background on how it all came together, and then agree on next steps. So maybe I'll just start with background, which I don't think is new information for any of the commissioners, but we started having conversations over a year ago around developing a work plan, and so everyone's ideas as individual commissioners, the hope is that you see those reflected in here. And in September of this past year, or earlier this year, we appointed sort of point people for each of the 3 priority areas, who developed initial ideas, and then I worked on incorporating all of those ideas from the point people together into one document using a format that the city and the city council are already familiar with. So that is what is here. I took a pass at drafting out a potential timeline for the work, which puts the initial emphasis on cataloging, so that the first year of the work plan would mostly be spent on cataloging. I think that was a suggestion from one of the commissioners at a recent meeting, to just take sort of one priority area at a time. So I thought that actually makes a lot of sense. And knowing what's in the collection sort of underscores all the other areas. So it seems to make sense to start with cataloging. And meanwhile, keep sort of the minimal baseline public access hours and programming going that we have going now, without adding more to that, so that commissioners can focus on cataloging, and then, start moving through the priorities from there of amping up public engagement, and then adding in the preservation planning. So that's sort of a rough outline. You've all had a chance to at least begin looking at it. So maybe we can move through it from the beginning towards the end. And if you would like to comment, just turn on your light and I will call on you. So the opening 2 pages are really outlining, mostly for city council and staff and the public, what the charge of the McCune Commission is, a little bit about the background of why does Vallejo have a rare book collection, how does the endowment and the foundation fit into this, and then a section on aligning with city initiatives of why is the McCune collection relevant to the priorities that the city has right now, and then it moves into the focus areas. So I think I'd like to suggest that in terms of wordsmithing, maybe we can use a process that Annette suggested before we took the recess of over the next X amount of days or weeks, we can submit sort of line edits and wordsmithing kinds of edits, any kinds of edits, to Annette to collect them all and then send them on to me to incorporate into the a draft revision. And so I don't want to spend the time tonight wordsmithing things or correcting like small factual things about the history or something like that, but really thinking about the broad strokes of each of the priority areas, how we want to move through them, timelines, process, key tasks, and commenting on sort of the bigger nuts and bolts of how we move through this work. So if everyone's in agreement with that, maybe we start on page 3 with cataloging and have some discussion about how this content looks in terms of timing, the steps, success metrics, deliverables, what the key tasks are, and how this looks to folks. So I will stop talking and open it up if anyone has any feedback on that section.
I have one thing to say. Under the why paragraph, I feel like one other reason for cataloging is security. I mean, the last time it was fully cataloged was for purposes of, I believe, wasn't it for deciding what books to sell to create the endowment? And, well, I mean, you can't protect what you don't know you have. So, just having a real inventory of what we have is important for the security of the collection. I think it's worth noting.
Thank you. It's a good point. How about in terms of deliverables? Do those sound like the right success metrics or deliverables to have to move through a cataloging process?
Yes, they do to me.
And then those line up with key tasks that go with the phases identified in the deliverables. So if anything seems missing or there's a blind spot in here we need to cover. All right, if there's no further comment on cataloging, then we could move on to preservation. So the suggestion is, yes.
Excuse me, Commissioner Trumper. I'm sorry. We have a master spreadsheet that's on the computer that I use on Saturday. I think you've seen it. So that master spreadsheet has all the items in the collection. So, I mean, I don't think you need to, well, I don't know, this is not for me to say, but there is something that already exists that has all the items in the collection. It lists which shelf it's on, which wall it's on. So we've used that before when people from the public have come in and wanted to view a particular book on a Saturday. And Commissioner Beecher has helped me to use that spreadsheet to find items. And then I think I found some stuff for you, Commissioner Trumper, with that spreadsheet. So, there is possibly that whole spreadsheet could be digitized into some kind of more, better database, like something in Access perhaps, or, Access isn't that expensive. And it's, it's more sophisticated than an Excel spreadsheet. I think that's more within a budget of, our commission and the McCune Commission, something to do, develop something in Access, or, get some ideas from Ken Innes's son, who developed the original website. But then Commissioner Beecher has told me that in order for Ken Innes's son to update the website as it is now, he has to be paid. And I believe he's paid from the foundation. So any work that he does on our existing website to make it more user-friendly or more searchable, he has to get paid. And so I guess, we have to find more economical ways to get our website more, have more public access, and more up to date is probably a better way to put it, because that website was created maybe 10 or more years ago, and when you go through that website, when you search for something, there's literally, pages and pages of items that come under one search. It's, you put in an item into the search bar, and then you'll get hundreds and hundreds of items, on 4 pages that you just have to scroll through. So it's not very user-friendly. I mean, and Commissioner Beecher has told me there's other ways to make our website more searchable or more user-friendly. So I think revamping, updating the spreadsheet the website as it exists now is probably a good use or a good way to improve the cataloging of our the inventory of what we have. And then perhaps, like I said, getting the master spreadsheet that's in Excel, put that into a better database format like Access. So, and then with Access, you can create searchable screens. I think that's what they call graphical user interface systems. So, people, like even in the public, they could log into a website we could set up, and they could get a page that has boxes where they can put in, their search items, and we can develop a website that, would be pretty more current, to use. And understanding that, the website that exists now, you can still use it, because you have items that are on the website that say the different types of genres we have, like, Californiana, and then you have art items that you can look through that. But when you do put in a search, it just comes up with literally pages and pages of items that you have to go scroll all the way down through. So probably getting a new website developed would be probably a really good thing for the McCune Commission collection to do. And then, there are lots of ways to, with technology and databases that are current, to make our collection more, user-friendly to the public. And I don't think we would have to spend a whole lot of money to, especially for something in Access. You wouldn't have to pay somebody like $20,000 or $10,000 to develop a usable Access database. We could even probably get some kind of a college student and give a person a project like that to do as an intern, or somebody who's majoring in computer science, or to do something like that. But I don't think we really have to spend a whole lot of money from our budget to make our things more searchable. So, sorry I said too much. Sorry about that.
No, I think that's really helpful, and that we don't really reference in here that we have, like, what our existing catalogs are like. Again, like the resources we already have to work with, that we have the Excel spreadsheet, we have a physical card catalog. I think the starting point is assessing whether, like, sort of auditing the catalogs to make sure they are complete, and then establishing the criteria of what should a modern day catalog for a collection like ours, like what is the information that should be in it. But I think adding that to the work plan would make a lot of sense, like sort of what we already have. And then I think out of the work plan, we'll be able to, sort of once we've assessed all of that, then we can figure out what the budget impact is. And then we'll be at a position where we can make decisions, like, is it just cost prohibitive? can we write grants and get the costs covered to properly catalog a collection like ours, et cetera. So, thank you. Commissioner Kent.
I just wanted to add that having the spreadsheet and transposing it into a catalog is going to be a good opportunity to have that inventory check to find out if anything has walked out or if anything has walked in, because both can happen.
Yeah, right. Hopefully walking in.
Right. Well, now we have a forum to submit an official resolution to accept it in if it's new and we don't know it.
Right. Vice Chair Benson, did you want to say
Oh,
something? No, okay, sorry. All right, so it sounds like mostly we're on track with the cataloging section. And I welcome comments sent to Annette to further refine that section. The second section is preservation. Which would begin later, after we've found our way into cataloging. And so I think the heart of that is figuring out the health or health threats to the works that we store in the collection, and then an approach, devising or planning out an approach for ongoing monitoring and restoration tasks. Any comments on that section of things that's missing or things that seem off base?
I thought maybe minor facility improvements could be fleshed out a little bit to say we're talking about, looking at the shelving materials or display infrastructure, it just seemed a little vague, and I thought for the city council's benefit, it might be good to itemize a little bit, describe what that meant.
That's a good point, thank you. All right. And section 3 is public access and public programming, public engagement and public access. So the idea here is to keep the programming going, like I said, that we have going, and not divert from that, but also build our capacity to slowly do more. So in December, we're going to start our printing press demonstrations, and then we could kind of grow from there. I already noticed there's a bunch of typos in this section, but any further feedback to help guide where this section is going? Y'all feel it's on the right track?
Question. I think you asked Laura, Attorney Zagarelli, this, but using the Albion Press, can that be an ongoing event, or does the commission have to let the city attorney, city manager know whenever you plan to use it? I think you had asked that question, but I don't remember her response.
Yeah, there's a list of questions regarding what Attorney Zagaroli's understanding of sort of city rules are right now regarding use of the room, use of the press, and things like that. So fleshing those out and getting answers to those, and if we don't have answers, if there aren't sort of standing protocols around those questions, then that becomes part of the work plan, I think, to get answers to the questions. Like, what are the rules around sharing the space with other community groups? Could we charge room rental to help support our other activities in the room? Can we use the outdoor space as well as the indoor space of the McCune?
We had a Shakespeare play out there,
Nice,
so there's precedent.
yeah. And so, yeah, we need to get to the bottom of the questions, as either in advance, if there are answers, which is what I was hoping, or if not, then I think it becomes part of the work plan to make sure we get those questions clarified.
I'm just going to start a printing demonstration on December 28th, and I'm just going to stop demonstrating that it works when I run out of ideas. Or unless somebody tells me that I have to stop demonstrating that it works.
Excellent. Yeah, we have permission to demonstrate the press, so I think off we go. Okay, if there aren't any other comments on section 3 there, then additional items, since we chose those 3 priorities, it means we did not choose these other priorities. But I really think, as I've said before, that these are going to flow out of the work that we do on our 3 priority areas. So being able to create really clear volunteer job descriptions to support the work in our 3 priority areas, part of our charge is overseeing the facilities in the McCune room as well. And so being able to make recommendations to the city about what needs to happen there to protect the city's assets that are in the collection. As we talked about earlier this evening, tightening up or really making official the criteria to accept new acquisitions into the collection. There's been great studies done more than once in the lifetime of the McCune collection about what the heart of the collection is, sort of where the real value lies in comparison to other Bay Area collections. And so that points to what the priority areas could be for acquisitions. We could work on partnerships to support our priority areas, and then, of course, fundraising and resources and making sure we have the funds we need to support the health of the collection and public access to it. The budget justification here at the end is that we anticipate that we will not need to lean on the city for additional funds. We have the McCune endowment that's there for the purpose, but we also have the ability to fundraise through the McCune Foundation, and there are several philanthropic organizations that support exactly collections like Vallejo's, whether it's library grants or historical materials and things like that. And then the timeline is simply everything that was said above put into more of a timeline format, so there isn't anything new in that section. It just lays it out in a different way. Trying to think where to go with this. My sense is that commissioners want more time to sit with this and have time to give more detailed feedback. And so I would propose that what's after Thanksgiving? Would 2 weeks? So I'll propose 2 weeks to provide more detailed feedback to Annette, and Annette can compile all of that and send it on to me to work into the draft, and then that would come back to the council at its February 2nd meeting, and hopefully, well, then we can discuss whether it's ready to be approved at that meeting, and we can dig in.
So comments to me by December 15th? Is that what we're saying, 2 weeks?
That is my proposal. Can we have just sort of nods, if that sounds reasonable to the commissioners? Okay, everyone nodded affirmatively. And then, does revisiting this in our next meeting in February 2nd, is that, does everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Any other ideas of what we can do with this tonight? I didn't hear any comments that we need to throw this in the trash and not do it, so I'm assuming we're proceeding with buy-in all around. Okay. All right, the last item on our agenda, we'll try to move through this quickly, is to incorporate a few changes into our ongoing agenda format. Annette, I'm sorry, did you? Okay. Kind of to tighten it up and get rid of sort of duplicitous, what seemed like covering the same territory twice, or things that had kind of ended up on the agenda in places where they weren't the most useful necessarily. So in your agenda packet, there are two versions of the proposed new agenda format. One is a clean revised copy, and the other one is an annotated copy that shows the suggested changes. These suggestions came from a couple of sources. So a couple were from commissioners clarifying things to me of sort of the history of how things got where they were. And some of it was me looking at it thinking, I, as the chair trying to run the meeting, don't understand what the item is for exactly. So maybe there's a way to tighten it up a little bit. And then also put some things on the standing recurring business so that we don't have to get hung up in our struggles with the two-step future agenda items list. So maybe to just go through these. So moving this item about submitting your monthly receipts as just part of my chair's report. That's the first change in here. The activity reports that are under item 4 seem like they could move into recurring business under public engagement, because that's really where both of those, what those two are about. Let's see, another change under item 7, recurring business, that we would simply have our 3 priority areas there if we're adopting this work plan, because that's where our efforts are going to be placed. Then it makes sense to have those 3 items cataloging public engagement and preservation under recurring business. Then we could move acquisitions under cataloging, because it is sort of a subset of like what's in the collection. And then, let's see what else is here. The activity reports, like I said, would be under public engagement. And then for future agenda items, I wanted to propose that we just have a sort of a standing calendar of annual things. So for instance, at the beginning of this meeting, we were talking about when, that at year end, we would normally get funds, a statement of the fund analysis, so we could add that to the calendar, so that instead of us having to remember in our brains, our busy brains, that it's just simply here as a calendar. So we begin the budget process in December and finalize in, that actually needs to say April, not March, because we don't meet in April. That we elect officers in June, that we need to determine preservation costs in December to fit that into the budgeting process, that we request the funds analysis, is that what you called it, in November so we can look at it in December, or request it in December to look at it in February? Okay, so request it for a February meeting. But we could add other things to this as well. Anyway, that is my proposal. Any questions, comments, concerns from commissioners about amending our agenda format? Commissioner Beecher.
Yes, so two things. The first, I really, really like what was done with recurring business. To me, it makes all the sense in the world. That's particularly pronounced with B, with doceting as one aspect of the larger umbrella of public engagement, along with website and volunteer. Because if you think about it, the way it was before, as useful as doceting itself has been, and should continue to be, if it were to get off topic, so to speak, to something just as, important, relevant, but not strictly, because not all public engagement is necessarily in the context of doceting, then you're kind of like, you're leaving, you're off topic, and you have to get it on a future agenda. And so that's the way to do it. That's the way that sweet spot where you broaden things appropriately without diluting it, too much. That's an excellent example. However, on the flip side, I don't see any need or reason now with the reminding of the submission, receipt submission. That goes back before 2020, that many years ago. It got on there for specific reasons at the time where receipts were unnecessarily delayed in getting to where they should have been with the foundation. Really, with just the point I just made, what I think would be much more useful is somewhere, I don't know whether it be under Chair's report, but an expenditure agenda item. Because receipts are part of expenditure, and interestingly, we, as a commission, don't have routinely, month or meeting to meeting, an opportunity to bring up, and things come up sometimes last minute regarding the budget or expenses. The only time we've had it up to this point is with the treasurer's report, which is once a year, maybe twice. All the other meetings, you'd kind of be at a loss to appropriately say, hey, we need to talk about this, or did you know we had to spend money here, or I heard that something was being done in this part of the budget, what's the deal, whatever. We don't have that. And then that would incorporate, if something that we can't foresee is interrupting the process of submitting receipts, you can mention it in an expenditure because receipts are part of expenditure. So that would be my strong recommendation, and not worry about strictly a reminder. So.
That sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, treasurer's report is missing on here, as well as sort of
It's not every meeting.
other administrative things, like the policy handbook or the,
Draft, yeah.
or, I don't know, keys, or like the things that come up administratively. I'm not sure how to fit that in.
Oh, yeah, did Commissioner Pepin turn in his keys?
Yeah, we have his keys.
Well, if there is an expenses line item in the agenda, the treasurer's report could just be folded into that whenever it's appropriate.
Would that be?
Oh, well, then it sort of seems like there's going to be a treasurer's report, but I
Would
don't
that be
know.
under communications, or would that fit under recurring business? Do you have, is there precedent in other agendas in it?
For what?
For where like a treasurer's report or expense kind of thing would go?
The other commissions I staff don't have a treasurer's report.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
right.
unique that way. But we also, it should be a two-way. Usually when the treasurer's report is an agenda item under like new business, we have an opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah, so we could add it, if we don't want to do it every meeting, we could do it, like twice a year, and put it on the calendar of future
Or you could-
agenda items.
You could have a standing expenditure and treasurer's report.
That's what I was just
Yeah.
proposing, yeah.
But I would start with expenditure, because that's the thing that would carry on meeting to meeting more frequently than a treasurer's report.
I'm just trying to figure out where to put it, if it ends up.
I would, somewhere under
Recurring.
recurring business.
Recurring
Would be-
business seems
yeah.
logical to me.
Okay.
I can produce a standing expenditure report, that could be distributed every other meeting. I could set up something so you'll keep track of expenses incurred, submitted, so that all the commissioners could know, what's in the pot, what's been approved, and, so everybody can have an idea of what the expenses are.
That
for-
sounds good.
Yes, through the chair, the previous submission of monthly receipts for reimbursement was under recurring business.
So then I guess the idea would be to change it from submission of receipts to
Change the title.
expense and treasurer's report.
But the treasurer's report, though, is an action item, right?
Yeah, the expense part wouldn't be, but.
Isn't recurring business, aren't action items in there?
Yeah, it
But
doesn't-
normally, we do, it's not voted on necessarily, whereas a treasurer's report, you,
Usually approve that.
yes, it's approval, where the others, maybe just discussion.
You could just put in a motion on the months when the treasurer's report is there.
What I feel would be good on that expenditure report to be distributed routinely at commission meetings is to not only show the numbers, but to show what is being bought. Because in the treasurer's report, we don't put in, what we spend on. We could be spending, hospitality is just food. But then, maybe office supplies we could put in, for a toner or paper. I mean, to make it more clear what's being spent. And then there's, other things like for keys, you could mention keys and, other more
Yeah.
items that come
I
up.
think that item is more informational than an action item. I don't think it's about us approving the treasurer's report. It's just keeping us informed. And then once a year in the budgeting process or something, there's a more formal, yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
What's the,
So it's not an action item.
what's the process on consumables? Somebody just finds we're lacking and goes out and requisitions, whatever.
This is all part of why we need our policy book finalized,
I mean,
like
do we have
ratified and
do we have some sort
accepted.
of petty cash fund so that if,
Right now, we're going on precedent of how it's always been done.
but
And-
I guess what I'm saying is I don't know how it's done because I haven't bothered with it at all. I'm just
Yeah.
saying if I'm about
I
to start
think
demonstrating
all
that the
heads-
press works, I'll start consuming ink and things.
All heads turn to Commissioner Beecher. Who decides what expenses get for like office supplies, or how much is reasonable to spend on on refreshments for an open
That's
house?
on the budget. I mean, the bottom of the budget, I think it's up to $100 of discretionary spending. Anything over that is supposed to come to the commission first.
What is the time period for the $100? Is that per year or per day or per month?
Per month.
For the year.
For
I
the
mean,
year.
in other words, if you have a single item exceeding $100, you should come to the commission with that before incurring the expense.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We rarely have anything that costs more than $100.
Yeah, so, all right, so we need to tighten that up too. So I don't know where that goes. It's like the whole administrative function, because we're a working commission.
So this whole idea
Use
of,
up supplies.
what are you concerned about? That how the agenda item should work?
No, that there's, yes, like,
I would make the agenda item a discussion item, and the once or twice a year, when there's actually a treasurer's report, which you'll know ahead of time to be part of the packet, include a motion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't have to have a motion there.
Commissioner, sorry. Commissioner Beecher, we talked about this past Saturday, that we will have a treasurer's report in February, because we would have, okay.
But that's February, it's not following months.
But in that treasurer's report, when we do it in February of next year, we should have a list of what the items are that are incurred. So I'll put that together, I think. But I have to get,
Yes, yes. I think we're concerned about is where there's a motion or not on the agenda. Not that.
Okay, so the, whatever we call it, expenditure report, treasurer's report, expenditure and treasurer's report, that is a discussion item for information, not an action item, so it could go under recurring business. And the question of administrative stuff, like reviewing policies, figuring out who gets to decide how much toner we need, or whatever, questions like that, I guess that's just new business, or we do it offline when we're there running the office. Because that's the question you were just asking, is who gets to decide what needs to be bought?
No, I'm just asking what are the general guardrails? Like, it seems like having it come up every meeting would be a good thing as a guardrail to keep me keep me remembering to speak up and say, oh yeah, I need to give a receipt for, going out and buying new paper to redo the tympan, or, whatever. That's entirely, that's entirely to keep me from forgetting by the end of the 6 months or the year that I haven't
So
So I think
turned
that all
it,
becomes
that I haven't
the-
fessed up to what I spent out of pocket.
So I think that all becomes part of this new expenditure report.
Okay.
That reminder happens in your report as well.
And we
In
do have
recurring
checks and
business.
balances. I mean, it seems like I get the impression that some people, that maybe there aren't any checks and balances.
No. I don't think it's about checks and balances, or impropriety or anything like that. It's more just, unless you're the one who's taking care of those things, which this is why I'm like, all heads turn to Henry, because you know when we're running out of things, and you've organized the events, and that the rest of us don't necessarily know the process, and I think that's where the question was coming from. of-
The categories are determined on the budget, the amounts and the categories, whether it's hospitality, publicity, whatever it may be. From that, once the budget is approved, the foundation administers the budget, meaning they're the foundation's the primary spender with the foundation credit card or with a foundation check.
Okay.
And the foundation is very prudent about strictly following the budget, not to exceed it without the commission knowing. The only other way money is spent is when individual commissioners buy hospitality or go to the print shop to print cards or whatever. They're expected to follow the budget, and if they produce a receipt that this has never happened, but hypothetically, produce a receipt, now they've spent their money, to the foundation says, well, wait a minute, didn't you realize this exceeds or is not in line with the budget? Then the foundation has to come to the commission and say, hey, what do you want to do about this money? We haven't reimbursed it yet, but this is the receipt we've been presented with. That's never happened. Anytime commissioners have spent their money, they've done it in line with the budget. And it's worked for more than 10 to 15 years, 12 years that the foundation has been administering the budget.
Okay. I should have come to you as a sidebar before it came up in the middle of this, because I just sort of backed into it.
Well, we should understand how money is spent and how it's reimbursed. We all should understand.
No, it's my own blind spot, so I apologize. Thank you.
So through the chair, before we leave that topic, I think Commissioner Kent brings up a good point. If he's going to buy ink for the Albion Press, what category does that fall under in your budget?
The budget's never anticipated the use of the press, although we have plenty of ink to work with.
Okay.
We do, yeah.
Oh, no, because he
I
had
would
said
say-
purchase ink, so that's why I'm thinking what item would be.
I only use that as an example. it's in the category of I don't know what I don't know, which is, at the point that, we've talked about things that are so minimal in cost that I can't expect we would actually have a consumable, like we've talked about rags, for instance, for cleanup,
Yeah.
and it's like, if
Use
we don't,
rags.
cut up our old undershirts to donate to it, then I might have to go out and buy $5 worth of rags. It's not anything
It'd
that's
be
going to
either
blow the
gen-
budget apart.
Yeah, we'll
It's
make it
just-
either janitorial or office supplies.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine that we would replace ink for the press under a different category than ink for the,
And
or paper for the computer versus paper for the press.
Yeah.
And the paper and the ink for the press are not the issue. It's just there are some, consumables in the process of doing a demonstration that, we might be replenishing, in some minimal capacity.
I think also, we were just saying we're going to have more regular treasurer expenditure reports, so then everyone's going to know if we'll have a chance to discuss in the commission of if it looks like we're reaching the max in one of our budget items, and then we can resolve it. So I think that's going to work itself out. Okay, so the question at hand is this proposed new agenda format. Any other items, questions, suggestions? Anybody want to move that we accept this new format with the changes recommended?
I'll move that we accept the new format with the changes as proposed.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
It's been moved by Vice Chair Benson and seconded by Commissioner Beecher that you accept the revised agenda format with the edits, with changes with the edits. Roll call. Chair Trumper,
Aye.
Commissioner Benson,
Aye.
Commissioner Tehima,
Aye.
Commissioner Beecher,
Aye.
Commissioner Kent.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
I believe this needs to go through some further city process, which is why we needed the 2 copies in order for it to, so I think we need to hear back from the city that they are taking our recommendation to
Right,
accept this new agenda.
Yes, I would suggest that you provide me the revised
The
copy.
revised.
The revised copy, so I can then present it to
Okay.
Attorney Zigarelli.
Okay. Let's see, future agenda items, anybody want to add anything for the next agenda that we haven't already talked about? And Annette, could you summarize what came up tonight for the next agenda? Something did.
Yes. For recurring business, under recurring business, we discussed adding that criteria for, to future agenda items, to accept items into the collection. You were going to go over the criteria. You asked me to add that as
Oh,
a
yeah,
future
yeah.
item.
That's it, yep.
Right. That was one. Let's see. Cataloging, we did that. And that was the only one that I put a star by, unless you have something else.
No, I think that's it. All right, our next meeting date is February 2nd. Hope to see you all on December 28th at our fabulous open house and printing demonstration. So exciting. And we're going to have really good food and refreshments, maybe some music and cool displays and some kind of activity that's family friendly so kids can get involved. It's going to be awesome. And with that, our meeting is adjourned at 6:20.
Motion to adjourn at 6:20.
Oh, motion to adjourn. I move we adjourn at 6:20. Second?
Doesn't need a second.
I
That's it?
second.
And we all say aye.
Aye.
Epic.
Oh, thank you so much for getting the books from Karen's place.
Getting them.
The books from Karen's place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Interesting to go.
Oh.
It is an interesting neighborhood. I hadn't been over there before.
Yeah.